Hello and welcome to Maseches Taanit, Daf Vav number 15. Starting the second parak in Taanit, almost halfway through Maseches Taanit. We're on our way to Maseches Megillah and Purim, but first we have Hanukkah and Taanit. All right, Mishnah starts Ted Vav, being in the second parak. Seder Tainios Ketzah. This we'll see is referring to the last seven of the fast. There's 3, 3, and 7. The last 7 fast. Ketzad Motzinas Hateva Lerchova. They take the Aron out to the street city. Venos and Afer Makla Agabe Hateva. They put ashes on top of the Aron. Rosh Hanasi Rosh Abbeistin, and other people would put ashes on the mayor's head, and also the president, Abbeistin, the head judge, the head dayan in that city. And every person would take ashes and put it on his own forehead. Hazakin shebehen omer lifnein derek vushin. The older one, the Baal Musar, he would sell them things that would, give them Musar. Achenu lo nemar b'anshe ninva vayar elokim esakam es tanis. It doesn't say by Ninveh that Hashem saw their sackcloth and their fasting. El vayar elokim es maaseyim kishavu midarach mara. Hashem saw that they repented from what they did. But Kabbalah who omer, and it says in Kabbalah in the Ksuvim, B'kir levavchem ve'al bigdeichem. Rip your hearts, but don't rip your clothes. Imdu b'tfilah. Hamdu b'tfilah. I'm reading when they started to daven. Reading l'tayateva zakin v'ragil. Who is the shliach tzibur? Someone who's old, so he has to be over 35. V'ragil. He's familiar with the tefillas. V'yesh lo banim. He has children. Ubeis orekam. He's very poor. Kadesh Libo Shalom Mitfil, in order that he should really earnestly have to daven. Omer Lifnein Esrim Arba Brachos. He says in the Shliach in the Chazaras Hashas 24 brachos. Yod Chesh B'chol Yom, 18 of every day. And most of Alein Od Shesh, another 6. Elohein, what are the other 6? Zichronos v'Shofros. Zichronos and Shofros, we learned the content of those brachos in Maseches Rosh Hashanah. Those are 2 of the brachos. The other 4 are El Hashem Tzaras Likrasi Vaneni. This excerpt from Tehillim, the 4th bracha, Esayena Yalaharim, that capital of Tehillim, the 5th one being Mamakin Karasich Hashem, the 6th one being Tefillah Lani Kiyato. Yehuda Omer, Lo Yaserach Lomer Zichron Shofas, didn't have to say Zichron Shofas, those weren't the first 2. El Omer Tachtei, and instead of those 2, say Rav Kiyeh Ba'aretz, Dever Kiyeh, there'll be famine in the land, there'll be a plague to the animals. And the 6th one would be Asher Yadvar Hashem El Yirmiyahu Al Divrei Habtzaros. So said Hashem to Yirmiyahu on the account of the famine. V'omer Chosmein, and then there's also that's the main content of the brachos. The endings of the brachos, the conclusion of the brachos are as follows. Rishon Omer Mishana as Avram Bahara Moria Hu Yanestem. Hashem will answer to Avram and Hara Moria. He'll answer you. V'yishma b'kol sa'kas k'mayom hazeh. You'll hear you're crying out today. Baruch Hashem Goel Yisrael. You're going to see there's actually 7 chasimos, and the first chasima was not on the 6th extra bracha. It's actually on the bracha that they added, being Goel the Rofe. It's actually the conclusion of the bracha Goel Yisrael that they said. So that was the chasima for that. Now the following 6 are going to be for the 6 extra brachos. Al Shnia, which is really the first extra bracha, who Omer, he ends off Misha Anas, I was saying Al Yamsuf. Hashem will answer the Klal Yisrael Yamsuf, Hu Yanas Chem Yishma Kol Sakas Kol Yam Azeh, Bracha Hashem Zocher Nishkachos. Hashem remembers what's forgotten. Al Shlishis, Hu Omer, in the 3rd bracha, Hu Omer Misha Anas Yeshua Gilgal, and Yeshua on Gilgal, by Yericho, Hu Yanas Chem Yishma Kol Sakas Kol Yam Azeh, Bracha Hashem Shemei Atrua. Al Revius, Hu Omer Misha Anas Shmuel B'Mitzpah, he answers Shmuel B'Mitzpah. When people in the Plishtim are attacking Klal Yisrael, Shmuel davening for them. Hashem should answer you and listen to your davening. Hashem answered Carmel when he made a bama, and he had a Hashem bring down a heavenly fire and consume his korban. The story of Yonah when he was consumed by the whale or the big fish. Which is really the 6th extra bracha. He answered David and Shlomo Shalayim, in regards to building the Beis Hamikdash, Yana Eschem Yishma Kol Sachaschem Yomazeh Baruch Hashem Merachim Al Haaretz. Ma'aseh, turn to Ted Vavam Beis. Ma'aseh b'mei Rabbi Chalafter b'Chanan ben Shadman. That's not exactly an incident which happened. It's just a custom they instituted in their cities. Sha'avar echel lifnei ateva, the person who would go be the shliach tzibur v'gamar etz bracha kula v'lo'anu acharav amen. When he finished the brachos, they wouldn't say amen to the brachos. They would say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchusod Vaed instead of amen. Tiku HaKohanim v'tiku. Also, they instituted that the Kohanim should blow the shofar after every one of these 6 additional brachos. Mishana Zavram Avinu Bahara Moriah Yana Eschem Mishmu Kol Sachaschem Yomazeh Hariyu B'nei Aaron Hariyu. They would announce to the Kohanim to blow the shofar. Mishana Es Yavotin Al Yam Suf Yana Eschem Yishma Kol Sachaschem Yomazeh, etc. Or the same pattern. They would say Baruch Shem Kol Malchusod Vaed, and then the Kohanim blow the shofar. Shabbat Davar Eitz Chacham. The Chacham heard this new practice that Chanan ben Shadron and Rabbi Chalafta instituted. Amru lo hayinu nogin kin. We don't do that ela b'shar mizrach harabayis, only when it comes to davening right outside the eastern gate in Yerushalayim, in the harabayis, outside the Temple Mount. Shalosh tanios harishonos anshe mishmar misanim v'lo mashlimin. The first set of the 3 fasts. So the anshe mishmar, right, the people, the kohanim that were in charge of serving that week in the Beis Hamikdash, they would be misaneh. They would fast. They wouldn't fast till night. They would break a little before dark. Anshe Beisav, lo yom mizan in klal. Anshe Beisav is every mishmar was divided into 7 Beis Avos. So there's 24 mishmaros, but every mishmar had 7 families, and each one of the 7 days of the week that the mishmar served, a different Beis Av would be actual one serving. So that Beis Av, they wouldn't fast at all in the first set of 3 fasts. Sheva Achrona. The middle 3 fasts, the people from the Mishmar who weren't serving that day would misana and mimash, and they would fast the whole day. Anshe Beisav would fast but not complete the fast. Even the Anshe Beisav that were participating in that vote that day, they would fast and complete the fast. That's Rabbi Yeshua's opinion. The Chacham arguing on Mishur say Shalosh Tanios Rishonos, the first 3 fasts, Elu Lo Yimasan and Klal. Both the Anshe Mishmar who weren't serving and the Anshe Beisav, they wouldn't fast at all. Shalosh Shnios Anshe Mishmar Misan and Lo Mashlimin. The Anshe Beisav Lo Yimasan and Klal. The second 3 fasts, so Anshe Mishmar would start fast, it would not complete. Anshe Beisav wouldn't fast at all. Sheva Achronos Anshe Mishmar Misan and Mashlimin. Anshe Beisav Misan and Lo Mashlimin. Anshe Mishmar, they would complete the fast, and the Anshe Beisav would fast but not complete. Anshe Mishmar Mutar and Lishtos Yayin but Lailos Avalobi Yamin. The people that Mishmar of those that week, they were allowed to drink wine at night as long as they weren't serving that day, but not during the day, even though they weren't serving. Anshe Beisav Lo Yom Laila. If you're serving that day, since the avoda included things, there was avoda at night, avoda during the day, burning the Ephar B'Darim was during the night, so they weren't allowed to do the drink at all because you're not allowed to be intoxicated when you do the avoda. Chayav kares for that. Anshe Mishmar, Anshe Maimin, Asurim, Milsaper, and Machabes, when they were officiating in the Beis Hamikdash, the Kohanim, even the Anshe Mishmar, they couldn't get a haircut or wash their clothes. Chamishim Mutar, they covered Shabbos, except on Thursday they were allowed to, because covered Shabbos to cut a haircut and to wash their clothes for Shabbos. Kol Kosim Nilas Tainus, to the Mispad Lefonov, Asher La'acharav, Lefonov Asher La'acharav Mutter. Megillas Taanit, as we mentioned before, is a document in the time of the era of the second Beis Hamikdash where they had small miracles that happened to them. They wrote a Megillah, a scroll, that listed all those days where the small miracles happened to them, and some of those days they said you're not gonna fast in those days because it's a joyous occasion, and some days it says lo lispo, but not only can you fast, you also can eulogize the person who died on that day, to even a higher level of simcha. So if it says lo lemispad, you can't even eulogize. The fun of Asr al-Achar of Mutter. The day before that day, it's Asr to fast. It's Asr to give a eulogy. Al-Achar of the day after is Mutter. Yossi Omer, the fun of Achar of Asr. Yossi says he's more stringent. He says even the day after it's Asr to fast and to eulogize. Deloli Hisano Lefana. If it only says don't fast on that day in Megillas Taanit, the fun of Al-Achar of Mutter. Tanakama holds both before and afterward. It's mutter to fast the day before and the day after. Yossi Omer Lefanav Asher La'achar of Mutter. Yossi holds the day before it's also to fast. The day afterwards is mutter. And goes in Taanit al sibur b'tchila b'chamishi shelo lefki asharim. When they made these fast days, the first three fast days, they didn't start it on Thursday. They started on Monday, Thursday, Monday. Shelo lefki asharim was mentioned in previous shurim that if they started the fast days on Thursday, so then their people would see that first of all, they're buying a lot of food for the pre-meal on Wednesday night, and they're going to buy a lot of food for Shabbos. So people are going to think there's hoarding food. Everyone's buying so much food, the prices are going to go up. The sellers are going to feel there's going to be a shortage of food. The prices will go up. So therefore, they start off the fast on Tuesday so that it'll only be purchases for before the fast and not for also for Shabbos. So they wouldn't hike the prices. Yossi Omer Kshem על השלוש שני על הראשון, על השני וחמישי ושני, ושלוש השניות חמישי ושני וחמישי. The Tanakama held that once you already notify the people, the first fast are sheni chamishi v'sheni, so therefore even the second fast could actually start on chamishi. We're not worried about hiking the prices. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Shem sheni rishon v'chamishi kach lo shniyos v'achronos. All of the fasts had to start sheni chamishi v'sheni in order. We're worried they still might hike the prices. And Gozer Tainus al Sibur Rosh Chodashim Chanukah Purim. You can't be Gozer Tainus as a general. You can't be Gozer Tainus on a Sibur if the day is Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah Purim. You're not allowed to have a Tainus. They mischilu ein mafsikin. But if they didn't realize this, and for example, they Gozer 3 fasts for the rain, and one of the days happened to be Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, Purim. Purim, I don't know the Shayach, but Chanukah, Purim would have to be a fast day, if not for Geshamim, for something else. Ein mafsikin. Once you started, if the first sheni was observed as a fast day, so even if the chamishi or sheni that follows was Rosh Chodesh Chanukah Purim, you would still fast on that day. Divrei Gamliel, Amar Meir, Al Pishamar Gamliel, in mafsikin. Even though he says not mafsikin, Moed Yer Shei Mashlimin. He would hold those days Rosh Chodesh Chanukah Purim. You wouldn't complete the fast. You would eat before it got dark. Shabbos is the same halach by Tishbav that falls on Erev Shabbos. Nowadays, according to our calendar, it can't happen. But when they were Makadosh the Kodesh based on the new moon, so it could happen. If Tishbav fell out on a Friday, you would break your fast before Shkia, so you shouldn't go with the Shabbos. Misana, when you're in the tiniest, a bug just went into my mouth. Ugh, I really did want that mouth. It's disgusting. All right. Gemara, Seder Tanias Ketzim, Mosinas Hateva. Today says in the Mishnah, our Mishnah, that you bring out the Aron to the street. I feel B'Kamaisa, it seems to imply even the first set of fast, the first 3 sets of fast, the first 2 sets, the first, which are 3 and 3, you bring out the Teva. Raminu, Shalosh Shniyos, Rishon Shniyos, and Last Basic Knesses. Mispaling, Deresh Mispan Kol Shana Kula. The first 2 sets of fast, the first 2 sets, which are 3 fasts each, they'd go into the shul and daven like the rest of the year. Cool. V'sheva achronos motzinas teva l'rechov v'shalir v'nosin efer al gabi ateva rosh anasi rosh abistin v'cholach alecha nota v'nosin b'rosha. It was only the last 7 fasts where they took the aron outside and they put the ashes on the head of the nasi and the abistin, and every person would put on his own head. Nasi omer efer maklahin mevi, and he argues, he says it only could be ashes. Before we said Afer, according to Tanakama, it doesn't literally mean only ashes. It could be ashes or dirt. That's only ashes. Amar Rav Papa, Tani Kolechad. Oh, sorry. Amar Rav Papa, Kistan Nan Masisan Hasheva Achronos Nan. Our Mishnah, like I said before, is only talking about the last 7 fast days. Rosh HaNasi. They put on the head of the Nasi, the president of the shul, the president of the community, the mayor. And then it says, and then it says afterwards, each person, individual, will put on their heads. Any is just the way it really should be about none. Rebbe Omer, Gedula Maskilim Minagada. When it comes to Gedula, things that show importance of people, things that people enjoy, you start from the greatest person. When it comes to punishment, you start from the lowest person of stature. Moshe first taught Aaron, who was next highest in him, then Elazar and Itamar, and then the rest of Klal Yisrael. And when it comes to curse or punishment, you start from the smallest of stature. When the Eitz Hadas happened, first the Nachash was an animal, was cursed. It's kal lachav, and then the woman was kazak, and it's kal adav, and the man. So the man says hachashivusa. This is actually considered a thing of gedula, not klola. The amril lehu atun chashivusum liboil and rachamei akuli alma. By putting ashes on the nasti and ab base in the first, they're saying you're chashav enough to ask racham from Hashem. He's going to answer you first on everybody. We trust in you that he's going to answer you. Every seems that every single other person takes ashes and puts on his own forehead. Why is it says from the Mishnah that somebody else puts on the head of the Nasi and the Abbesim? It's not comparable to someone who's embarrassed by himself. Someone else embarrasses you, it's more embarrassing. So therefore, the Nasi and the Abbesim, whose prayers were more important because they were the ones that, like we said before, they had the ability to answer for the Sibor. So therefore, they should be more embarrassed, so they'll have more of a lave to daven to Hashem. Where do you put the ashes? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Makom Tefillin. You put it in the place of Tefillin. Shneimar Lasum Le'Velet Tzion Alteis Lehem Per Tachas Efer. It says the pasuk's talking about the Gula, and it says Lasum Le'Velet Tzion. They'll put beauty in the place where there's normally Efer, where there's normally ashes. In the time of mourning, you put ashes on your forehead, there'll be beauty. You'll put beauty on your head. It's trying to tefillin. You'll put tefillin on your head. That's what we'll conclude today's shir. Hope to see you tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have my guest of honor tomorrow. I'm hoping. Have a good night.